Today we're going to show you what goes into Big Poppa's pizza and what sets us out from the rest. Any good pizza is going to have a great sauce, and that's probably the one thing that we take the biggest pride on is we blend ours and we marinate it for over 24 hours. Our pizza sauce has over 13 different spices in it. We've been perfecting it since we've opened. It's really the one thing that everybody says our pizza really stands out. So we're gonna give you kind of a quick preview on how we do that. So we start out by, every day, our staff comes in and we make a blend or a bloom, what we call it. We take our seasonings and we mix them into extra virgin olive oil, and then we refrigerate it for over 24 hours. What it does is that actually blooms the sauce and allows all the aromatics to come out, and you really enhance the flavor of everything that's in those seasoning blends. So we just take that, we mix it up like this, something as simple as that. It thickens up a little bit, and then in 24 hours, that one's gonna be ready to go. I've already taken something that we did yesterday and we blended it into our base marinade. Again, I can't go into too much detail of what's in there, as I know that there are some other pizza places in town that are definitely watching today. But we go in and we blend that with our sauce, and then we use a very high-end tomato because that's really where the taste and that's really going to pop is when you're doing that. So we've met with a lot of different companies and want to make sure that we have the highest quality tomatoes that are going into it, and because that truly makes a big difference. And we've seen it when we were going through the testing process and meeting with different vendors. One, that could keep up with our volume, and two is, obviously living here in the Midwest, I can't just go pick all my tomatoes year round. So we're going to rely on vendors that are coming from around the state. So we wanted to make sure that we were using the best and make sure that we're getting the best product that's going into our sauce. So with our sauce, we're probably on, I would say, like version 23, 24. Honestly, before we opened the doors, we probably went through 12 or 15 different variations of it. And when I'm talking about tweaking, it's one, tweaking the different tomatoes that we put into it, the different base that we put into it, our seasoning. Our first month, we didn't do that bloom process, which I just showed you. We met with some, professionals with a lot more experience than me. And they kind of explained, hey, this is a great way to bring out more flavor out of your seasoning. And we did that probably about a month in. And that was the sauce, just the flavor was a lot more powerful overnight. And we've been tweaking it, just kind of basing on, we've tried different variations of how much seasoning we're putting in, what concentration of the tomato that we're putting in, how long we let it sit and marinate before it goes out on the line. And a lot of that stuff plays a factor. And as it sits and it marinates, the bloom sauce that we showed you guys, about 24 to 48 hours, the magic window. If it sits too long, it gets too thick and we can't use it. So, so a lot of that, when we talk about fresh, is we've got to make sure we're constantly rotating. So our staff is really on top of it. Even during our slowest day, we have 2-3 employees running around, just staying on top of making sure everything is fresh. When it comes to the sauce, the aroma that you smell is coming from that sauce. And then we've noticed greasy pizza. Everybody hates greasy pizza. I'm not a huge fan of it. I know there's a famous gas station out there that has really super greasy pizza, which I find that's a combination of both their sauce and their cheese. And so we've dialed in our sauce to help bring that down so it pairs with our cheese really well. So we don't really put out a super greasy product. That's not what we want. We don't want people to go home with all kinds of grease stains on. So I would say with the current version, we've been on it for a little over 6 months. So we don't really tweak with it too much because it's been working really well for it. But a lot of it comes from our customers. I can like a sauce really well, but I'm not the one buying pizza all day, every day. So we want to make sure that we're appeasing our customers and serving the best quality product to them. And we value their feedback when they give it to us. The next part, as you can see here, is, we have quite the lineup with our vegetables. And when we talk about freshness, we're very selective with our vendors when it comes to making sure we have the highest quality of our vegetables. To help keep that quality up is we actually cut and prep them every single day. So our staff can keep an eye and gauge on making sure they're in the perfect condition. We want to make sure that we're serving the best ingredients to our customers while they're eating pizza, but it also brings out a lot of the flavor, and you can kind of taste the difference. The funniest thing I've seen so far since we've been open is like the first or second week we were open, we had a gal that was very confident and, you know, said that she loved our pizza, but she said she didn't like how we used canned mushrooms. And to me, that was the biggest insult, because we don't use canned mushrooms. We hand cut all of our mushrooms. So it was a conversation that we had with the staff working that day of what they did, or, you know, and everybody's got their different profiles and tastes. But, you know, when it came to it, is, you know, that's something that I laugh and I said, I probably the most offensive negative comment I've seen with the pizza so far is somebody thought we used canned mushrooms, and it's probably the farthest thing from it. Is we, you know, we hand cut all of our vegetables, from our onions, our green peppers, our mushrooms, our tomatoes. You know, we want to make sure that we're giving our customers the best they can get for when they come in and shop with us. I just spoke to an entrepreneurs class at Augie, and, you know, I told them that. I said, find something that you enjoy doing, because then it won't feel like you're working. But, you know, I like the pizza side of it. I like making pizza. Do I want to do it all day, every day? I like the business aspect of it. I like the training, the mentoring of young staff, and the creativity. Well, in every industry, you have to be creative. I mean, like as you guys know, you have to find different ways to market, stand out from the competition. I get bored with cookie cutter. I've said that in every business I've ever owned, is I don't like cookie cutter. I don't want to have the same old that when people said, oh, I've been doing it for 20 years. Instantly, I don't have respect for that, because it means you haven't innovated, you haven't done anything that could be groundbreaking, different, new. You're not trying new things. You know, so, you know, obviously people compare our deep dish to like Giordano's or Louis in Chicago. We're different. And they're like, well, it's not the same. I don't want it to be the same. That doesn't say their name on my building. It says Big Poppa. Here at Big Poppa's, you know, one of the biggest foundations of a good pizza is our dough. And so that's something that we take very, very seriously. You know, we're coming up on being open just about a year. And so it's something that we toyed with for a long time. We didn't want to have a cheap pizza and that had a, you know, poor quality dough that would leave you kind of feeling sick and not really tasting what true authentic pizza is. So our dough is our proprietary recipe, which we spent a lot of time, several months developing, working with people and specialists to get the level of gluten into it, the proper. We use an Italian flour, so we don't use a lot of preservatives and whatnot that is going into our pizza to you know, make it shelf stable, if you will. It's fresh. As you can see, we hand ball all of our dough balls every single day. We're doing, you know, several hundred every single day. And with that, with us using the fresh dough, it makes a big difference. You don't feel sick after. You can sit and eat a whole pizza and you don't feel sick. So that's a real big process. Our whole process takes about 3 days start to finish. So when we do run out and we sell we're out of dough, that's because the dough is in various stages of being finished. So we can dip into tomorrow's stock if we have to, but then that's just pushing it down where we're going to have to potentially close the next day. So we have great fresh ingredients. And so that's where to really start off. Our staff has all been trained on how to properly roll it, weigh it. A single dough ball is over 24 ounces. It's very large for us to be able to do our big deep dish pizzas. So it's been a process and that we've been truly developing, but anybody that's in the pizza world will tell you that humidity will play a favor. We'll have kind of a concept and messing with it as well. So it's a constant monitoring to when we want to get it from the big batch of dough all the way into the perfect dough ball that our staff can then run through our sheeters and prep to make whether it's a hand tossed pizza or stretch it out for a deep dish. From the process when we're making a pizza, you know, we take our dough and we give it a nice quick brushing of flour. We run it through the sheeter. You can hand stretch the dough, that's fine, but the volume that we're doing, my guys would be worn out within 2 hours. So the hand sheeter, all it does is compress it and kind of flatten it out, allows them to hand stretch it there a little farther, and we can control it based on how big the pizza is. With our hand tossed pizza, then the process that you've seen right now is docking the dough. That helps the dough breathe a little bit while it bakes, and so it's not going to get all the big bubbles. And then we cut it to size, and this is the next part. As Justin's making this pizza here, is where it really stands out. Is he's going to braid the crust, and as far as I know, I've never seen another pizzeria do this so far. It was just something that we did to add a little bit more aesthetics to the pizza. Allows the handle of the pizza to have a little more air in there and kind of be fluffy and give you a nice little crunch when you're eating your pizza. So the pizza he's building right now is going to be for a large, or an XL, what do we call our 16-inch. That's a 20-inch paddle to kind of put it in perspective as far as size goes. When we build a pizza, obviously we start with our dough. We put our garlic butter on the crust, which adds a lot of flavor with every bite throughout. And then we go with the sauce. And this is probably one of the most highly debated aspects of building a pizza, is people think there's not enough sauce, too much sauce. We've really, through trial and error, honestly, we've kind of found that happy medium that appeases most of our customers. So, and then we use our cheese, and this is probably the most heated debate by pizza makers nationwide, is what is the best cheese. You have the giants, Basio and Grande. Grande's huge on the East Coast. Basio is really growing. Their claim to fame is they got just the kiss of buffalo milk. And honestly, we used both of them when we first opened and kind of tried them out to kind of see where we like. Just recently, about 3 months ago, we switched to a local co-op up in Duluth called Patria. And the biggest thing for us when we tried that out is you can look at the ingredients list and see and read everything that's in there. It doesn't have all the preservatives in it. It's not going to be clumpy. It's not going to sit and still be good in 3 months sitting in a fridge. So it's a very fresh mozzarella. In the volume that we're ordering, we actually get it directly shipped in. They have their proofing process before they can actually ship it. We get it within 1 day. And that's a nice part of working with a local co-op. When we know, hey, we're seeing a huge order, we can make a phone call to them and they can start batching it faster and faster. And, you know, we know everybody up there. It's a smaller, locally owned co-op. So we know the people when we make a phone call up there. And it's great. You know, they've always invited us to come check out their farms. So it's great to really try to bring that farm to table aspect in the pizza world. With our cheese, you know, the nice part about using a nice high-end fresh cheese is it doesn't have to be coated with an uber amount of cheese on it. It's going to have a great melt point. Obviously with deep dish, we're big on the melting of cheese. So it's great for us that we can put a higher quality product on there and not make you feeling all bloated and just feeling gross after you eat a pizza. So while we put our toppings in, we use an Italian sausage, which is, everybody's kind of got their different preference on it. We're very selective on the Italian sausage that we use. We've had a lot of success with it, and it's been very, very popular by a lot of our customers, and as people have grown accustomed to knowing what they're wanting and expecting from a pizza from here at Big Poppa's. This is going to be a house pizza here, so we're just putting a little bit of a Colby Jack blend on it to add just a little orange color into it, as we like to make it pop just a little bit. So one of the secrets with fresh dough is it can absorb the cornmeal or the flour that's on it. The trick that I learned from an old-time pizza maker out in New York is use an air bottle and blow underneath it. Spreads that cornmeal around, allowing it to slide off our pizza peel and not get stuck when we go to transfer it into the ovens. So one of the things that really stands out here at Big Poppa's is our handmade garlic knots. We take our dough, we run it through our sheeter one time, so it's about twice as thick as our pizza crust. We cut it up and then we hand tie all these knots, and they're gonna get garlic butter and our seasoning on them, and they take about 15 minutes to bake, but we always wanna make sure that we're serving hot, fresh, pull apart type garlic knots so that our customers get that kind of Sunday dinner at mom's house feel. Again, makes us different is we do a lot of our own blending. Even our garlic butter is our own in-house blend. We could save a little money by buying product that's already pre-made, but I don't feel like it's got the right flavor, the right garlic punch to it. So we've had a lot of success making our own from scratch every day. Cassie, one of our full-time gals here, it's kind of her forte, it's her specialty. She's probably made more than everybody here combined. And we give it just a little dash of Parmesan cheese on top. The process of a Chicago deep dish, or this is considered a stuffed crust deep dish, is so we start out with a single dough, and it lines this. This is our 12-inch, which is known as a medium size. This pizza will have over a pound of our fresh mozzarella in it. But what he's doing is tucking in the corners, so when you see the deep dish completely baked, it's got that nice firm outer edge as it bakes, because this pizza will take approximately 35 to 45 minutes to cook from start to finish. And then, as we were just talking about, this pizza is going to get loaded with cheese, and this is where the cost comes in. Everybody's asked, I can't believe your pizza's so expensive. We're putting approximately $15 to $20 of cheese into every single deep dish pizza that we're sending out the door. So, and then we overload it with all kinds of toppings. We go way overboard. So people they get lost in the cheese, but they're in there. We can assure you that there's a ton of ingredients in there. So this is a Butcher's Supreme, which is going to be 11 total ingredients stuffed inside this crust. And one of the biggest things that makes us different than most pizzerias that do a Chicago style deep dish is once we put on the top layer, we actually put more ingredients on top. So this pizza will have all of these toppings inside the pizza as well as back on top of the pizza. This is our number 3 selling pizza, our Supreme deep dish, which is a butcher's block plus a ton of veggies. It's gonna have your pepperoni, sausage, beef, bacon, Canadian bacon, peppers, onions, black olives. It's truly one of our top selling. A lot of places around the country will call it a deluxe. It is our number 3 overall selling pizza. And then we put just a dash of cheese on top just to make sure everything kind of binds and holds together while it bakes. So as you see, what Justin's doing now is Justin's putting on the top crust, which is gonna hold in all of that moisture and cook all the way through. The top crust has to be slightly thinner for it to cook all the way through because it has over a pound of cheese inside that pizza. And there's gonna be a lot of moisture on this crust between the cheese underneath it and the sauce above it. So we do get some people that think that their pizza got undercooked from sometimes because the dough is soft. That top layer is never super crispy like a traditional pizza would be. And Justin's tearing these little holes that he's tearing into it. Those are breather holes that allows some of that heat and that moisture that builds up while it's baking to release. And then we run the blade across the edge of the pan just so it cleans up a little bit. It has a nice crisp crust all the way around. So with our deep dish pizza, probably the biggest comment that we see or feedback that we see from people that aren't real familiar with a deep dish pizza is why is it so expensive? Well, they don't realize, like, this is a small, and you can see the amount of cheese coming in there. Now this one isn't fresh out of the oven, so it doesn't have the cheese melt, but this 12-inch deep dish has over a pound of our cheese in there. And that's where the cost is. Our most expensive ingredient in this entire building is our cheese. So a lot of people don't realize is how expensive, but you can see right down here on this line, that's the same thickness as just a hand-tossed pizza. So basically the way I consider it is, picture a deep dish is like 3 hand-tossed slices stacked on top of each other. So when people order a pizza, they're gonna get by with eating just one slice with maybe a side. They're not gonna eat a whole 12-inch deep dish. There's no way they'd be able to finish it. When it comes to our pizza, obviously we're known for the deep dish. That's kind of that's our niche, that's our specialty. But we're very, very particular about what even goes into your standard or your all-American, your hand toss. It comes from my staff, like Justin, hand stretching the dough. We don't just run it through a machine that automatically cuts it and other things like that. But there's an art to it, and that's where we kind of tied into last month. Even to running them on the ovens, you have to watch and baby them while they're cooking, because the stones, they cook on an 1.5-inch stone that just stays hot and radiates heat. So that in itself sets us apart from a lot of other pizza places, where they'll put them into these conveyor belt type ovens. But a deep dish pizza, as you see here, it's not like you're not necessarily going to hold it and eat it with a slice. I would say most people eat it with a fork, especially when it's hot and fresh and that cheese is just melting. You see people doing that long stretch. But your hand toss still a classic. I probably eat 10 to 1 hand toss, because I can eat 6-7 pieces of a hand toss. I eat 1 slice of a deep dish and I'm done for the day. So I'm ready for that old after Thanksgiving nap.
This episode of Spotlight Sioux Falls is sponsored by Magnetic. We help businesses grow through content that stands out and software that scales your conversations. Not sure how to build your pipeline? You can find us at magnetic.services. Magnetic.services, your pipeline will thank you.
Thanks for listening to Spotlight Sioux Falls.
These are the stories and the businesses that shape our city. If you heard something today that made you smile, made you think, or maybe reminded you of someone you know in your neighborhood, please share it.
That's how we support local. That's how we grow. And if you know a business owner we should feature, or you want to tell your story, reach out.
Until next time, we're Steve and Melissa, and this is Spotlight Sioux Falls, where local stories get the stage they deserve. Running a business means we all wear a lot of hats, but sometimes you need extra hands, sometimes some specialized talent to keep projects moving.
That's where our friends at Solvo Global come in. Whether you need offshore or nearshore resources or long-term project support, Solvo connects you with the right people to scale your business.
They make it simple. You get trusted talent without the overhead, so you can focus on growth instead of scrambling for help.
Check out the link in our show notes below to learn more about how Solvo Global can support your next big move.